All set? Okay, thank you. So welcome to the November 6, 2017 Board of Selectmen's meeting. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
November 6th.
You need a new flag with the new logo on it, don't you?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Hard to believe how fast this year is going by. Okay, so citizen statements and petitions. We have a packed crowd here tonight, so I assume we have none there.
Keep it brief, please.
Yeah, please. Correspondence to the board. I don't believe there's any. So, adoption and release of previous meeting minutes. Did you guys have an opportunity to read the meeting minutes?
I'm all set.
Yeah, I'll make a motion here.
Okay, just one real quick. You make the motion and then I got one real quick then.
Okay, I move to approve the adoption of regular session meeting minutes for 11/7/16, 5/5/17, 5/17/17, 6/5/17, 7/12/17, 10/16/17, and the release of executive session meeting minutes from 3/25/16.
Okay,
Second?
discussion on
Yeah, I
that.
do have a discussion. I just want to make sure now, the last bullet, the executive session minutes, those are the ones that question and and the ones we agreed to release ahead of the others, right?
Yeah, so I want to hold those to a future meeting, and I'd like to hold regular session meeting minutes 10/16/17, if you guys don't mind.
Why would we do that?
I haven't had an opportunity to review those ones and make sure that they're accurate.
Oh, okay. Well,
The rest
we've
are
already, okay, but see, all we're talking about is releasing them, right? They've already been reviewed and approved by us,
Yeah,
We-
it's just released.
but this is, we're just release them.
No, I'm talking, not the executive session. No.
Which ones you talking about?
I'm talking about regular session meeting minutes 10/16/17.
Got it, yeah?
All right, and then for the executive session meeting minutes, I believe council wanted to review those before we released them. If you recall.
Okay, I don't remember that, but
Yes.
I'll defer to your judgment on that.
Yes, okay.
Okay, so then,
If you need further clarification, I'd be glad to.
No, I'm fine, I'm fine.
Okay.
Okay, so then, does Mr. Real need to modify the motion?
Well, because now it's, I move to approve the adoption of regular session. Well, I just moved it because it was doing that. I move to approve the adoption of regular session meeting minutes for 11/7/16, 5/5/17, 5/17/17, 6/5/17, 7/12/17.
Second?
Okay, any further discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Okay, so I have, before we continue on, I just have a quick thing that I should have mentioned under correspondence and stuff, right? So I just wanted to mention that, that it's, it's too bad we weren't able to go to Benjamin Tremblay's Eagle Court of Honor. He made Eagle on Saturday at 1 o'clock. Unfortunately, none of us was available, but congratulations to Ben and his family, and I'm sure we'll have the citation ready to go. We'll only be able to sign, obviously, the next meeting, but obviously that's an awesome accomplishment, and I feel very badly I wasn't able to attend, so just wanted to say that.
Yeah, obviously me as well. Unfortunately, not much notice.
Yeah.
Certainly congratulate Ben on his accomplishment. I think it's a huge accomplishment, and I know how much the board enjoys being part of that celebration,
I will.
making that accomplishment. So we'll definitely have to find a way to make it up to him.
Yeah.
All right. Consider the appointment of Mr. John Inger as part of the part-time communications officer for the Mendon Police Department. Hopefully I put my glasses on.
I move to appoint Mr. John Inger as part-time communications Communication Office for the Mendon Police Department with a starting rate of $20 per hour.
Second?
Chief, you want to come up and give us an update on this?
As always, we're looking for more part-time dispatchers. We used to have 4 to 5. Right now, I have 1. They're just hard to keep up with. That's why I did the new pay scale, where we have a scale now, at least, where we can pay people with experience. Mr. Inger has probably about 30 years of dispatch experience. He actually trained me 22 years ago in Blackstone. He worked for Blackstone for 16 years. I think 15 years in Northbridge. Moved to Florida, didn't work out down there, so now he's been doing some part-time jobs up here. He'd be a great addition to the department. Little to no training. We're gonna have to invest into him. He's ready to go right off the bat.
So Chief, just for the clarification, anybody that might be watching the meeting or anything, you're not adding hours, you're not adding to the budget, you're just adding another part-timer to the pool of people you have available to you.
Correct.
To fill in the shifts as they exist right now.
Yep, so dispatchers have first right of refusal. Full-timers, we have 1 open shift every week on a Saturday. Right now, I have 1 part-timer that sometimes takes it, sometimes doesn't, so then it goes to overtime for the full-timers. Right now, I can plug Mr. Inger in the Saturdays if you'd like, and then additionally, when the full-timers don't take the shifts during the week, I don't have to force him, and I can start utilizing him at a lower rate.
I presume that typically the dispatchers, part-time dispatchers, work elsewhere besides just here, right?
Yes, yes.
Just out of curiosity, where else does he dispatch?
He doesn't dispatch right now, he's actually doing security. He wants to get back into dispatching.
Okay.
So this is his foot to get back into dispatching.
Cool. All right.
And because this is a part-time position, Chief, that we would manage his hours throughout the course of the year.
Yep, no problems with hours. We've never had that happen with dispatch where they've put in enough hours where they've been eligible for any benefits. We just don't have that many hours to give them on a part-time basis.
Yeah, good for me.
Mark, anything?
No, I'm good.
All right, all in favor?
All right.
Thank you.
Okay,
No, thank you.
thank you. Let's see, consider approval of Historical Commission submission of proposed work at 11 Main Street. Do we have anybody from the Historical Commission here tonight?
I see two.
Come on up.
No, come on.
Just the owner?
All right, so this is the correct date on street address. This is actually 15 Main Street.
15 Main Street?
Yeah.
Main Street. 15 Main Street.
It's not Mark Bucchino's house. He made that clear to me. So Jane and David own 15 Main Street. They are looking to replace the front porch, which is rotted away. So Dan Gardner gave them an estimate for the work and is proposing that he's going to try to retain as much as possible on the porch. He's going to take the railings off and then put them back up once he's replaced all the rotted wood. Because we don't have a historic district committee yet.
Well, we do, but
Why? They haven't been sworn in and they haven't been, they haven't started, building the parameters. So the commission reviewed it a few weeks ago and we approved the proposal for the work to be done.
sorry, who?
The Historical Commission. However, because this Board of Selectmen is the governing body, the ultimate decision is in your hands until that committee is together.
Yeah, oh, it makes sense to me.
So I think, basically, the objective of the local historic district is not to impede homeowners, but to just keep the characters of, the characteristic features of that, area inside the district.
Basically, it's going to be a reproduction of what's already there.
Sure.
The railing is going to be retained because of the codes now. If he built a totally new railing, he'd have to make it higher. But if he uses the old one, he can use that and not. So.
Okay, now, so question. So we had put aside some funds, and we did, We put aside some funds, but you're not asking for any
No,
funds.
no, we're
You're
not
just saying,
asking
this
for
is
any
what I want to do, and because it's.
Well, we need permission.
The rules say I
We
have
need-
to do this because I'm in the historic district, are you okay with it?
Right, that's all.
Well, I need scale drawings and artist renderings that I know Mrs. Schofield is
Oh,
well
no.
capable
I'll
of
run
doing.
across the street and take a photograph if
There
you
you go. They already have pictures.
I don't think that we need to go that far.
I think we do.
Well, I don't, so I move to approve the
Thank you, Mark.
replacement of the covered porch in the house at 15 Main Street.
I'm gonna second it.
Any further discussion on this?
Yeah, just, I want to just clarify. So the intention is just to rebuild exactly what's
Yes.
there. You're just gonna duplicate
Exactly.
it with as much original materials as you can. I mean, how could you do any more than that?
You really-
Saving
Well, there's
it, right?
not that many, there's not that much original material except for except for the railing. The floor is rotted, but we're not going to be using any plastic or any, it's
Well,
going to be.
understood, but I mean, you're gonna rebuild the same size, shape,
Yes,
whatever that's
exactly.
there already to the extent that. you-
Yes, it's
Okay.
going to
Yeah.
duplicate what's there.
I'm good.
You good? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. Very good.
That was our very first historic district vote. That's like a,
Now, while I have your attention, just for
is it on the agenda?
I don't see it.
Kick her off the stage.
I have a question. There are some artifacts in the upstairs library, in the attic space. Chairs that were used in the town hall when the school was here. I think there are 4 of them, they're folding chairs. And there's a map of Native American inhabitants, probably later, like maybe the 1930s. So the society would like to know if the town would like to donate them to the museum. So should we write up a letter of request for those items?
I think we should make that official, yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, great.
Well, I mean, if you guys don't take care of them, who is going to?
Well, they could wind up in the trash. We'd rather not see that. So,
Okay.
okay.
All right,
Or on
thank you.
eBay.
Have you heard from citizens yet? Did I miss that? Is that on the agenda?
Citizen statements?
Yes.
Yeah, you missed that.
Oh, shucks.
You can go back to you.
We both answered for a minute. Poor guy.
I just realized, I'm like, right, Chris?
Mr. Chairman, what say you?
I'll give you a little attitude, so go ahead.
Fine, upstanding citizen, such she is.
I'm a little concerned about some of the historic buildings in town, namely the library roof.
Oh, she's gonna complain,
Well, no, I'm not complaining. I mean, I know a lot of things are going on. I do understand that. But a gentleman from, actually a member of the Historical Commission and a historic architect, I should say contractor, canceled a meeting to come because the warrant was coming out in 2 days. And he came and he looked at it and wrote a proposal. That was before the March 2015 meeting. Mr. Gardner had repaired it temporarily. There was $42,000 appropriated at that meeting. There had been some monies left over from Mr. Gardner's fee, so it came to $48,000. I got another bid from a gentleman that was recommended by by Philip Warbath, who was the fellow who oversaw the restoration of the Olney Cook Shop. I did not receive that. I think I had gotten off the Historical Commission at the time. We needed one more bid. I understand it went onto the Central Register, which was totally unnecessary. It does not have to go on the Central Register. All you have, for that amount of money, which was $48,500, all you have to do is touch 3 people and get proposals. They all have to go into the Historical Commission. Anything that's done on these 2 buildings has to be submitted to the Historical Commission because they hold the preservation restriction. But I'm a little concerned about this. It'll be 3 years in March. Mr. Gardner's repair was supposed to last for 1 year. So I think we're pushing it. There should have been a warranty on it, but the company that did the roof in 2007 is out of business. No surprise there. They used very inexpensive shingles, so it was a case of the town doing the penny wise, pound foolish route. sometimes you have to spend more money to save money in the long run. But I really would think it's imperative that the town get that roof fixed. And I don't know if the rafter or the, there's been a rafter that was broken. When CBI came to do the campus study, they noticed that it was either a rafter or one of the support beams was broken. I don't know if that's been addressed, but that's a difficult situation. And also, we're concerned, we work very hard with Mr. Wheeler, with the Misco Springs bottling plant. Nothing has come of that. He received 4 waivers from the planning board about a year and a half ago, I think. And he said he would donate the building or give something in kind. He had been very receptive to saving the building. So it really would be nice. It's a very unique building for the town of Mendon, whether we use it for storage, for equipment, or whatever. But there's a window on the Northbridge side that has been broken. So I would be very upset if the same thing happened to that building that happened to the barn at 34 George Street. I think that these things, I know, as I said, I know a lot of things are going on. You have a lot of things to address, but I don't think you can.
Have we accepted the Misco Springs building? I don't know.
No, nothing has been done.
You know,
I would have liked to see, I don't know if it's been done, but we should have conversations directly with this Mr. Hoover.
Wheeler.
Or Wheeler.
Yes, and we had, the Historical Commission had several. And I will say this, at one point, he was supposed to meet with the commission and Ms. Newman and did not show up because there was going to be some sort of, but, it's been a long time, and these buildings are deteriorating, and I think it's a shame. It's part of the town's history.
Thank you very much for bringing this up, and if you could, just so we don't forget it in the future, if you could just zip an email to Ms. Newman, tell her that you brought it up to us, and we can get it on a future agenda, and I can speak with her on the best approach on how to do that. Because it sounds like we have 3 goals, right? We have a goal to at least look at the roof next door in the library. We have a goal to look at the rafters in this building to see if they've ever been addressed, and then to also discuss the Misco Springs building.
With your agreement, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to relieve Mrs. Lowell of having to do that. She's actually raised it numerous times, this roof. I've had conversations numerous times directly with Ms. Newman about this, and it frequently gets lost in the rounding.
Okay.
Right? So it's been done. She's been there, done that, right?
Okay.
So I will write the email,
All right.
okay, at all of our behest, and make the, because, look, irrespective of the reasons, and there's many of decent reasons why, let's just take the roof there, that it might have taken a while. 3 years after you've had the money that's a little long. And if we didn't have the money, that'd be one thing, but
Yeah.
we got the
And
money.
it should not, I know that the bid from the Central Register came in as $100,000. That's absurd. All you have to do is, as I said, all you have to do is target 3 people. I know that the bids that Mr. Albrecht and Mr. Hamilton gave us are old, but they could be asked to resubmit them. It would be, and then find one more person. And then send their proposals off. Mr. Hamilton was very specific. I don't know if you want to read his.
I'm not sure if I want to go that far with it tonight.
Okay.
I think what I'd like to do is get it on another agenda. We weren't scheduled to really
I know,
discuss
I apologize.
What I'd like to do is, Mr. Schofield has volunteered to
I'll pick it up with her again.
rekindle this, and then we'll certainly bring this up on a future agenda, and then we can start going through all the detail.
right.
The reality is, and Mrs. Lowell brought this up before, I've had numerous exchanges with Ms. Newman on this thing. And I'm equally as guilty for not staying on top of it as she is on not staying on top of it. And you know, Mrs. Lowe's being quite charitable to say, you know, we got a whole ton of things going, and that is true. But this needs to just get finished.
Right.
So,
So you volunteer?
And I
So I'm
hope it-
volunteering.
Because you dropped the ball.
well, I would say, I have to say, I at least partially dropped the ball because I assumed she had it and was running with it, and I shouldn't assume that.
And I hope it's not mutually exclusive to the police station, because I think that's a wonderful idea to have. it.
No, I don't think so. But again, to Chairman Burke's point, though, I think I did hear about, well, obviously I've heard about the other two things, but they weren't top of mind. So the other two things were specific, just to bind it so we could get at least something done. We got a broken rafter up here, you're saying,
Yes.
and we still have yet.
Well, I don't know, it may have been repaired, because I know Mr.
Okay, so we'll find
Arcardi
out. It-
did.
Up in the attic, right?
Right.
And then the last thing is just, you know, what do we do about, do we want that building or not? We got to conclude discussion on it.
I hope we want it.
Okay. All right, so I agree with you
Or-
though,
or
Mark. I think
save
we
it.
have to, I think we should be talking directly to the gentleman. I think
Right.
Gary Smith could set that. He was the one that was doing all that stuff over there with the guy. So I'll take that action too. I'll ask Gary.
And there
to set
actually
it.
was somebody apparently who was looking to buy it perhaps. Mr. Wheeler would have donated the money to us with a preservation restriction on it, so,
Okay.
Like,
All right, thank you
good
very much.
revenue.
thank you.
Thanks.
All right, consider chapter 90 amendment to the original project request Maury Street, Route 16, Park Street for overage.
I vote no.
Come on up, Alan.
Good evening.
So why don't you give us, what's going on with this one?
With Maury Street?
Yeah.
Well, we went over with the shimming of it, basically because it was worse than was anticipated. We went
I
over,
forget
and
what shimming means. Can you?
it's filling in the bad areas. And then actually, we were pretty much right on the money with the top, but the amount of the shimming was for the shimming portion of that road. And that's complete now, that section of Maury Street is complete.
Any,
Well, I'm just wondering, where'd the overage part come from? How,
the shimming you said?
From the shimming,
oh, I
The
thought you said you were
tonnage.
right on the money.
for the, when we put the top on it.
I understand. Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
I move to approve the Chapter 90 amendment to the original project request from Maury Street, Route 16 to Park Street in the amount of $9,319.20.
Second?
any further discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so you consider chapter 90 reimbursement request, Main Street to Maple Street, catch basin structure replacements. What do you got on that, Alan?
And that was just, we replaced all the catch basins in anticipation for the Main and Maple Street reconstruction project.
So I just have a quick
And that
question.
came in, right on the money.
What's your question, Rich?
No, I'm sorry, I was looking at the wrong one. I'm looking at the one ahead, so I'll save the question.
I move to approve the Chapter 90 reimbursement request for Main Street to Maple Street catch basin structure replacement in the amount of $22,000.
Second?
Any further discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Consider chapter 90 reimbursement request Suffolk Street to reclaim and pave with monolithic berm.
And that project is completed and it came in under actually.
Okay.
I know what monolithic means, and I know what a berm is, but what's a monolithic berm?
It's put down with the paver instead of using a berm machine. So it's all in one,
Gotcha.
it's
Yeah.
all one. There's no seam.
Between the
Berm and the
roads
road.
got it. Okay.
Makes sense. I move to approve the Chapter 90 reimbursement request for Suffolk Street reclaim and pave with monolithic berm in the amount of $80,440.
Second?
Any further discussion on that?
Just to bring you up to speed with that project, that is scheduled to have the raised crosswalks installed tomorrow over there,
And when do you think it'll be complete?
tomorrow.
It'll be complete tomorrow as well?
Yeah.
Fantastic. All right. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Did you have a question? You said you had a question.
I did, I asked it the monolith berm, I didn't know what that meant.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah. I thought it was, you said the one prior to, so it was,
Yeah. And I meant the one next.
okay. Discuss highway department proposal to change developers, owners to plow certain private unaccepted roads.
That is, actually was a memo that I sent to you. I don't know how it got put on the agenda, but it's the same memo that I give you every single year. The only difference is there were a couple of streets added to it that are unaccepted that will be, that this, developer is supposed to be plowing, and then if they don't plow it, then we charge to plow these roads because they're unaccepted.
And the rates are the same?
It's the same thing.
Okay, so there's no need to take any action on that?
I don't think there's any action.
You just send us, you send us that letter every year, so.
Every year, same exact letter, just different streets sometimes. So if a street gets accepted, it comes off the list. If they start building houses on a street that's being built, that gets added. One comes on, one comes off.
I don't have any questions on it.
No.
No, good.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, can I comment on the next one before we get started on it?
Number 11?
Yeah.
I'd like to pass over to actually.
That's exactly what I was gonna say, because I did do the update. I did it while Ms. Newman was away at the ICMA conference. We agreed that I would update it based upon our last discussion, but I don't believe I ever sent it out, and I didn't bring it with me.
So I guess I'm going to be part of that discussion.
Good.
All right. Consider the appointment of the firm Murphy, Hess, Toomey, and Lehane LLP as town council. Just to give you a little context on this, usually what we do is common and customary to appoint an attorney from our town council. However, what happens is when somebody leaves the firm or whatever, we always have to go back and we have to revote for new council, et cetera. This gives us the ability to work directly with the firm and leverage all of the council within the firm instead of just selecting one individual person for that. So it's actually a benefit to us to consider the appointment of the firm instead of just an individual council member.
I move to appoint the firm of Murphy, Hesse, Toomey, and Lehane LLP as town council.
Second?
Any discussion on that?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
And, let's see, we have a discuss possible intermunicipal agreement for dispatch. Chief, you want to come up with that?
Two little ones? Mr. Chairman?
Thank you.
You guys each have a copy?
Yeah. Where do you want us to start?
All right, so we can start with the one that says confidential on it. That's a markup copy. It just goes over some of the changes. So we had met previously, the board, myself, Ms. Newman, and we
Which
talked
one's
about
that?
what we thought we would enter into a new agreement with Millville.
I get two of the same. Do you have two of the same, Mark?
No?
One should say confidential, one doesn't.
No. I got two of the same. I got, neither one of mine says confidential.
So I just want to make sure that I'm clear before we even start getting it, because documents in front of me saying confidential. I assume we're talking about possible negotiations. So I assume that the reason why we're discussing this tonight in open session and not an executive session is purely for the fact that we have time-sensitive crunch.
There's not really too much more to negotiate. That's going to be confidential. What we're talking about between, it was confidential as in when we were negotiating. We didn't want other towns getting hold of it, but at this point, we're at the end stage. What we talk about now, we've been talking about with lawyers for the past 2 weeks. So
that actually obviates the justification for executive session. We shouldn't be doing it in public session.
yeah, that's fine.
I got you.
So
I figured I'd ask because I haven't got on this.
the original is the one that so this is an original, if we agree on what is in here tonight. This is all based on the markups on the one that we proposed to them. And what we've done is, we've had a few hiccups along the way with, they didn't like some of the stuff we had in there, they went back and forth. The state actually got involved, the head of E911, Frank Posniak, got involved with the negotiations. Tried to make sure that this agreement stays in full effect. He obviously doesn't want to see anything from regionalization fall apart. So he's worked with us, which I'll go with you on a couple of things. We worked with town council. She's comfortable with the new document, which is here, but I can go over the changes with you real quick. She doesn't think it's anything that should prevent us from signing or anything she wouldn't recommend to you. She is available.
Sorry, who we talking?
Cindy, our new town council.
Got it.
So she, and she's available if we want to actually call her or FaceTime her right now too. She's available for that. And so is Frank Posniak from E911. And Millville's also meeting about this tonight. So I'll just point out a few of the changes that probably the only ones that
Still look at the one marked confidential.
confidential. So there's not a lot of big changes here. A big one of the, let's see, page 5. It's not actually labeled 5, so go past 4 and 5. You'll see where there's,
Chief, when you say not a lot of changes, you mean as compared
To
with
this-
the previous contract or compared with the last
This is-
attempt at a new contract?
this is the last attempt at a new contract, and this is, what I'm gonna point out to you is things that they want to change.
Change from the original contract or the last?
We're only going off what we proposed to them, that's it. The old contract's gone.
Got it. Yep.
Doesn't exist anymore.
Yep.
So they wanted something in there that, under B, that they wanted to have more input in the development grant. And the development grant is the grant that we put in for additional equipment for 911 dispatch center and for the towns, radios, i.e. towers. So in the past, one of their complaints was we didn't give them enough input into the system. I think that I'm comfortable we put in here because the past 2 grants that I put in for development, I have met with them. The FY 17 and 18, I actually sat with the Millville chief. I had the deputy fire chief from fire, one of our assistant chiefs there. So we've had meetings. So what they want is what we're doing now anyways. I think they just want to make sure it continues that way.
I guess, how would that work if they provided input and there was a direction of the town would want to go?
Well, ultimately, we're the hosts, so we can go whichever direction we want to go with the equipment. But if we do selfish things, just, say we get radios for our cruisers and then we get radios for our fire department and include them, I think they'd have a kickback on it. And rightfully so they should. This is a contracted services, we should be taking care of both towns with it. And everything that we've led towards that recently, we've done with that. We get 2 other grants called the Incentive and Training Grant. I made sure I put in there that's actually maintained by us at all times. We use the incentive to offset our costs, so dispatch can be done at a reasonable rate, so that will maintain with us. We don't consult on the incentive or the training. It'll just be the development grant. And that grant is a competitive grant, and just because we put in for something doesn't mean we get it. We've gotten, of the past 6, I think we've gotten half of them, so. But they are big grants, so one of the biggest ones we had was $390,000 to put a tower up, redo equipment, and that's why we have the good equipment that we have in there right now. So that's one of the changes. Town council and I worked through it. You can see where there's a lot of markings. If you go to the new one here, she's comfortable with the wording here. It protects us and it protects them. It's it's basically just a goodwill thing. There's really nothing you can do to enforce it. It just says that we're gonna talk among the chiefs and, you know, being good neighbors, we should include them with it. There's a lot of little things that, you know, they cross off, you know, from to, so that stuff I'm not going over, that's just grammar that the lawyers wanted changed. The next biggest thing is all the way at the end. So attachment A, the very last page. So the part that Millville will contribute obviously is not what it was in our last contract, but there's a reason for that. The state wants to make sure that this dispatch center continues to thrive, so they are actually going to help Millville out a little bit, and they will increase our incentive grant. That's the letter I have from Frank Posniak in front of you that states that the incentive will go up now every year to offset some of the costs, to make sure that we can come to terms in this agreement. It works out.
Where are those outlined? I didn't see those.
It's the last attachment, and then Frank's letter right here talks about the incentive grant. He sent that to me Friday as we're going back and forth. So our incentive will increase from $63,162 to $113,162.
Okay, and he's committing to that for what time period?
This whole contract,
All 5 years?
all 5 years.
And what happens when the state, if the state comes back and says that they don't want to fund that?
So that's why we have number 2 in here. You can see there's a lot of stuff that's crossed off. We went back and forth with this the past couple of days. So I'll read it directly from the final draft here. It says, in the event the amount of money that Mendon currently receives as an E911 support incentive grant is substantially reduced, so never mind if it goes away, if it's even reduced, during the 5-year period, Mendon shall promptly notify Millville in writing of such event and the amount of the reduction. The parties shall meet within 30 days after Millville's receipt of such written notice to negotiate a recalculation of financial contribution to be made by each town towards dispatch center in a manner that reasonably preserves the economic benefits to the parties under the agreement. In the event the parties are unable to agree on mutually acceptable financial terms at the expiration of such 30-day negotiation period, Mendon may, in its discreet, terminate this agreement by sending a written notice of termination to Millville within 14 days after expiration of the 30-day negotiation period, and Mendon will continue to provide 911 coverage for a period of 90 days after Millville's receipt of such notice, at which time this agreement shall terminate unless otherwise agreed in writing by the parties.
I
So
gotta tell you, I don't like that language.
So if the money goes away, we negotiate. If we can't come to something in 30 days, then
Yeah,
We
but
can-
so
we
what?
can terminate it.
We have no negotiating power.
we do.
I think this ought to say,
We absolutely do have negotiating power. It goes away, and then we give them 90 days, which isn't much time, to either come to an agreement with us on what we want to charge them, or go put up a dispatch in 90 days and form your own dispatch. It's not a lot of time to form a dispatch center.
Well, I think it's a tough one also because, you know, at that point, you know, we're counting on revenue dollars
Yeah.
to be able to carry that line item. If that goes away, then, you know, we could be reacting to a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, well, if it goes away, no matter what, we're gonna have still, we still have dispatch. We're gonna have to pay for it no matter what. At least,
Well,
this bails it out. If they don't wanna give us anything towards it, well, at least now we're just dispatching for ourselves.
yeah, but see, I don't, why aren't the terms simply that, first of all, it says significantly varies, right? I don't like that word significantly, because what the hell does that mean, right?
What's
So-
the definition of substantial?
Substantial, I'm sorry. So to me, it ought to be if the state contribution dips by any more than X percent, and then then should be, not that we enter negotiations, but they make up the delta, period, done.
Right.
That's what this should say, not what it says here now.
Yeah, they're not willing to do that.
And has it been asked, really?
I wouldn't be telling you that if it hasn't been
I
asked,
don't know if I'm willing to sign this like this. But
because they don't know what kind of financial state they'll be in at the time, and obviously they have 2.5 overrides and everything right now, so they don't want.
So we don't know what kind of financial situation.
Exactly, but they don't want to commit to an amount. They want to have to reopen it, because they're going on what the numbers are now. If they go away, then they want to renegotiate it.
My opinion is we have a weaker negotiating position at that point. We have a better negotiating position now. And I don't like it, to be honest with you, but that's my 2 cents worth.
Yeah, I think I'm a little bit, I'm not happy with the word.
No. Either that, or we get,
Because they're looking at $113,000 per annum. I mean, that's a pretty substantial chunk of change. I don't know what that was.
and this is just an email. I mean, this is no kind of binding.
Well, the minute we sign it, it's a state. He's in charge of it. He's gonna boost it right back up. I have I'll stake anything on that. He's not gonna not do what he says in there. He's gonna do it. He's done it with everything we've done with our dispatch for the past 10 years. If he says he's gonna do it, he does it.
Well, then we might as well have no language at all.
Well, no, that's separate than our contract. That's what he's.
I understand that, right? What you're saying is, he's committing to 113,162 across 5 years, right? Okay, and you're saying also that you personally feel, from dealing with this guy and these people, that they will honor exactly what they said.
Exactly.
If that's true, then there's no concern about it dipping by any substantial amount, obviating the need for any language, which is silly. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen.
We don't know what's gonna happen.
I mean, yeah, there's something, it might not be up to him, it may be something else. Who
No,
knows?
it is up to him. The money that goes into 911 isn't the typical state budget. Mark probably could help me out on this. There's a line item on your cell phone bills that go into this. That money can't be touched by the governor.
Well, that was supposed to be the deal with Quinn Bill, too.
No, that wasn't Quinn. Quinn was a line item in the budget for the state.
And then it's supposed to be the same deal with Chapter 70, and the same deal with regional busing funding.
But those aren't funded by anything. Those are funded by the state. This is funded by you and me. 911 is funded by our cell phone bills. So unless cell phones go away, 911 money's not going away.
Yeah. I don't share your optimism on this one. But I'll leave it to you, good gentlemen.
I am a little, I mean, what really stands out for me is that piece about substantially reduced.
Yeah, it's just too vague.
Yeah, and our attorney said the same thing, but substantial can be to us, if it's $5, that's substantial to us. We can determine what's substantial, is we can
It
argue.
doesn't say we get the, as determined by Mendon.
No, it's substantial dip, but we're sending them the letter. So if we're sending it to them, then we are determining if it's a substantial
Yeah, but if I
dip.
go with the arbitration, it's gonna be up to an arbitrator to determine.
The arbitration's out of here. There's no arbitration in here.
It-
Yeah.
If there was disagreement over the execution of this contract, some board or body is gonna negotiate,
Well, go to that
is gonna
part of
arbitrate
the,
between
go to that
us
part of the
whether-
contract, because that's actually been taken out of here.
No, I understand.
Dispute
but-
resolution.
I understand, but,
They'd have to go to court or something. We'd have
Whatever.
to sue each other.
yeah, whatever, so that's all, and I think that's what Mr. Burke
And
is
you'd
saying.
spend more money suing each other than you would getting a resolution to it.
Which then reduces our negotiating position on how much we're willing to argue by what's substantial without noting in the front. I'm just not happy. I'm not good with it. So.
So, I mean, I agree. So I'm trying to figure out which way to go. Not needing, obviously, I think what I hear you saying, Mr. Schofield, is that clearly you feel uncomfortable signing this. I agree with you also, Mark, about the substantial, I don't know what that means. That should be defined.
Or not even, it just should say is reduced, any reduction.
Just
Yeah.
like
Should
substantial.
automatically go on there.
And if it's a small reduction, nobody cares, and they won't get all worked up over the number, right? But if it is in quote substantial, then
What if we have an extremely tight budget year? And it reduces $1,000? Or $2,000? We're gonna make up that money. It's up to the taxpayers on if they wanna fund that money or not. If not, we gotta lay off a dispatcher because we can't fund the line item, right? We lay off a dispatcher and now we don't have enough dispatchers to cover
Yeah.
the contract that we're obligated to do. I'm just playing a
Yeah.
scenario out, but think about it. You know, I mean, anything is possible because ultimately it's up to the taxpayers on where they wanna fund the
now
line.
the decision-making body over in Millville is obviously the selectmen over there, right?
Mhm.
Okay, so they've met to discuss this in particular and decide whether they like or do not like
Mhm.
This, okay, and did they do so in executive session or in
No,
a,
they're meeting right now.
right, as we sit here right now?
Yeah, but they had the direction, so they've had a chance to, everything that they've asked in here, they've asked a lot. So everything they're asking for, they've already asked for. So what we're giving them back, they've already asked for all of it. So this is what they're getting back from us. So everything that was in this original ask, they obviously voted on, that's what they wanted to ask from us, and this is what we're giving back to them.
Okay, I
And
got
they
you.
voted on that.
So what are they meeting to discuss now tonight then, if they're waiting for our feedback?
They're getting the results of what we have. They've already, the town administrator is comfortable that we've come to a point in their town council that we can agree on this, so then she's presenting it to them.
Okay. I'll leave it to you two gentlemen, but I've said how I feel about it.
Well, I just think there's more to talk about with that piece. That, I mean, I can't really sign it tonight.
I don't think they were looking for that. You
I
are,
just think there's.
We need to wrap it up sooner or later. If a 30-day extension, we're shutting the dispatch off. We can't keep doing.
We meet next week.
I can.
I can, we can definitely. Just check my calendar. I mean, clearly, we want to get this wrapped up.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. We want to get it wrapped up.
Yeah.
Next, the 13th is a difficult night because it's a public hearing that night as well as the STM article.
So do you want town council to come? Because obviously this is from town council. The last version is town council. So if there's something that you guys want to work out with, then maybe she should be here. Because she sanctioned this and said this is what she recommends.
We don't need to negotiate with our town council. We tell them what to do. The people we have to negotiate with is the.
But I'm telling you, it's her wording.
I'm sure it is.
Yeah.
But verbiage and legal verbiage in a contract is what the lawyers meant to focus on.
Exactly.
It's us that's meant to focus on the business terms. We don't like the business terms.
No, you don't like the verbiage.
No, we don't like the business terms. The business terms in there say that the amount that it needs to vary by is flexible because it only has to be substantial. And we enter negotiation to fill the gap. So we're saying, no, we want to be specific. That's a business term. So word it however you want, but we're not happy with leaving it open. And also, that we should be pinning down, even if it's to pay half the gap. I mean, whatever it is, I want it to be nailed down.
You're not going to get a nailed down number, but we'll get everybody in for that.
I don't know if I agree with that. I think what we do.
I mean, this is negotiating points we're talking about here, but, I mean, if it said instead of substantially reduced, if there's any reduction from the state side, Mendon and Millville split the difference on whatever that
There you go.
reduction is.
Yeah.
Something a little more
So to me, I think,
concrete.
They're not, and I can tell you that's from them, but they're not going to commit to any amounts. If it's 3 years from now, they're not agreeing to anything.
okay, well, that doesn't mean we have to submit to doing it either, right? So I think we should have a conversation directly with the Millville selectmen. Because it's the quickest path to getting a result, and we come up with some kind of agreement in a joint meeting. Does that make sense to you, Mr. Burke?
I don't have a problem with that. I think I prefer to speak with Ms. Newman and speak with council. real
Make
quick.
sure we're clear on what we want to do.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then go from there.
Yeah.
And with the goal of getting wrapped up as fast as we can, we're gonna have to schedule a meeting between now and the STM, I would assume.
Yeah.
It's just that the schedule's just really booked, so we're just gonna have to pick a day to do it and also coordinate
Yep.
schedules. But let's, I'll speak with Ms. Newman tomorrow on this, and with you, Chief, as well.
Mhm.
And,
Do you want to do what most time we do is, do you want to have a representative? You both know, you all know what you want. Can we just deal with maybe the chairman, town council, their chairman? So we don't have to try to schedule a meeting and get two boards together and,
I'll leave that up to, for my own, Marky, comment, but I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I mean, as long as then we'll just need one meeting to finalize whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But if by some reason, hook or crook, when we go to sign it and it's unacceptable to me, well,
then we just.
I might not sign, but then that's okay, because only two people have to sign, so
Mhm.
it's fine.
So, all right, so why don't we work out the details tomorrow when
Okay.
we we sit down and we reconvene and talk about this discussion, we can talk about either doing a single point at that moment or not. How's that?
Yeah.
Because we don't need to make that decision tonight. We
Mm.
might come to a resolution the next time we meet, and I'll be comfortable with the language and send it out and whatever. So, it sounds like it's just gonna still be an open negotiation. In terms of concept, I think what I hear everybody saying in concept outside of some language there, in the concept, do I hear just?
And again, too, we're adding something new. This was never in any of our previous contracts with them. That's why it's going this way. If we had something previous there, and that's what our town council said, we're adding something new here. So it's harder to negotiate that into this agreement.
So the question that I have for you guys is, right now, in this last round of contracts, the last contract that we had, it expired. They were paying us, I think, $30,000, $35,000.
The last year, the contract was 40.
And 40, right, but it started at 30, if I remember.
It was 30-30, I think 30-30, 35-40-40, or 30-30-30, 40-40, right?
But
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that,
Yeah.
okay. Now it goes to 0, 0, 10, 10, 10, but it's made up through the commitment.
State
from the
contribution,
911.
yeah.
Are you guys okay with that?
Oh, I'm totally fine with that.
Okay, I just want to make sure you guys are happy with it, that's all.
Yeah.
Because that's a substantial difference from what we had currently.
My biggest concern is not having such uncertainty if there's a major reduction
Yeah.
in that state.
Yeah.
I
agree with that, yeah.
I would even consider negotiating off the 10 grand in the 2 years, make all 5 years 0 to specify those numbers. I'd rather have specificity.
So for something that you, never mind.
No, I don't want to go there.
Yeah.
I don't want to go there, and I think that we're kind of.
Yeah, for something that's a 95% certainty, for that 5% feeling good, you want to give away $30,000?
Yeah, well, that's but see, that's the judgment we gotta make.
Yeah,
I
but
understand you.
I wouldn't be in favor of
Yeah.
that at all, but.
So you'd rather leave that language?
No, I did not say that. I don't want to leave the language, but what I'm saying is I wouldn't be.
Think goes
If you were forced into one or the other?
executive session.
Yeah, that's, I think we're going too far with that one, yeah.
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 So, all right, so why don't we do that? So, why don't we leave this open for now?
Okay.
The goal to try to get it wrapped up as fast as we can. I'll speak with Ms. Newman tomorrow, and the chief and home council as needed, and then we will reconvene, hopefully within the next week or two.
I mean, I'd like to get, we've been on this, like, today I was on the phone all day with this. If we could tomorrow, I'd like to be on the phone all day with this and let's square this away. I don't want this to be something that just sits on the
We
back
can have a
burner.
conversation
Yeah.
about it on language, but we
Yeah.
still have to reconvene as a board.
Well,
That's
if
what I'm
we
saying.
get something worked out tomorrow, we can meet as early as Thursday.
No, because we have to post.
Well, yeah, but we.
Oh, yeah, as it is,
Mhm.
it's post tomorrow.
Yeah, we have to.
Yeah, this isn't something we should
Yeah,
drag
I
our
don't
feet
know if
with.
I'm gonna have time to really-
I would be very
But
surprised.
we could do something by next week.
I would be very surprised if there was a solution that you agreed to that I would not be happy with. So I think you should just go ahead and do whatever you gotta do to come up with what the solution would be, and then we only gotta meet to say, yep, let's do it, sign.
Yeah, that's what, we're saying the same thing.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, yeah. So, okay. All right.
You wouldn't even really have to meet, because you can give the power to the chairman. The chairman's the only one who signs.
What I heard Selectman Schofield say is he wants to have the opportunity to review the language, make sure that he's comfortable with it.
I'm okay with doing just what he said,
Yeah.
if Mark is.
We've done that in the past, that's how we've
Because like
negotiated
I
all of
said,
them.
I'm willing to,
We'll meet next week, that's what I'd like to do. I'd like to-
okay, well, that's up to you, because I would be fine with what he
I
suggested.
know you will be fine, but I think that, we're doing a 5-year contract. I don't think that should, in this language
Okay.
that we all bring some concerns up, I think we should all have the opportunity to review the final language before we sign it.
Well, you can review it, you just shoot back to town council if you have an issue with it. Yeah. Just trying to make things easier. I know everybody's pretty busy.
Well, I'll look at.
I just don't want it to fall by the wayside and it's Thanksgiving and,
No, we're gonna have to, the goal is trying to get it wrapped up right away, and I'm sure that we can just reconvene, even if it's just a half hour.
Okay.
Really, I think, I'm happy with that.
I will prioritize review of anything that's sent to me in the meantime, if that's what you're looking
yeah,
for.
whatever you want to do.
All right, because we could work through the town council if we have to, and then maybe we could still choose that route.
Yeah, well, they've been working, our town council and their town council have been working together since last Wednesday, and this is what they've come to, that our town council felt comfortable with and that their town council felt comfortable with. So that's why I'm here today. So obviously you can go with town council that you're not comfortable with that last part, and she can work through it with you.
Okay, all right. We'll get it all set up.
Okay.
Good. And then other topics not reasonably anticipated $40.
You got Buddy Lowell's retirement party right there, I think.
That's an
That's
awesome invitation.
So maybe you can just talk a little bit about that, I don't know. Maybe that should have been in citizens petitions, and then, Rich, you and I have talked about, Assistant Chief Zarella approached you about honorary chief for the day for his retirement party,
Damn it.
so,
Did I forget to get back to him on something?
I think we you didn't give a decision on it, you wanted to talk to the board, so I don't know if we could talk about that
He
quick.
asked me about that. I was supposed to get back to him.
All right, so let me just inform everybody that firefighter Linwood Buddy Lowell Jr. Is going to be retiring, so please join the Mendon Fire Department celebrating the retirement of Buddy after a lifetime of service to the town of Mendon. Saturday, November 18th, 2017, at 6 p.m. at the Willowbrook Restaurant. That's in Mendon, honestly. RSVP to Assistant Chief Mike Zarella. And it is a $35 per person buffet and cash bar. So first I would like to say, obviously, congratulations to Buddy. Unfortunately, I'll be traveling on that date, so
What was the date again?
November 18th.
Okay.
So I will not be able to attend, but I'll make sure that I reach out to Buddy and congratulate him on his retirement and thank him for his service, as I'm sure many other people would like to do the same.
And we should do a proclamation.
Yeah, maybe we can have, if you want to do a proclamation for us. Rich, since you've been handling that, do you want to do that? Do you want to reach out to Laura and ask her to do a proclamation, or do you want me to do that?
No, I mean, that's fine, yeah.
That's fine, you'll do that, or that's fine?
I'll talk to him.
Okay, okay. Just because it sounds like you've been working on it already.
Well, what it's working on is I get contacted by Mike Zarella about the chief of the day thing, right? But I don't mind to do that, that's fine. I'll be in Buddy Lowell mode anyway, so I might as well do that too, no problem.
And the reason why we're discussing this tonight is because obviously the 18th comes up quickly, and we didn't intend on having another meeting
Yeah.
by then.
Probably will, though.
But now it sounds like we will, hopefully, before the 18th.
Yeah.
But it sounds like you'd like to do an honorary chief of the day.
Yeah,
That's what he asked, yeah.
and if we're able to do that without any problem. I did place a phone call to town council, make sure there wasn't any stupid thing that
Yeah,
would be a
maybe
problem.
make it part of your proclamation or whatever, you know.
And that
some
would be,
type of
yeah,
thing.
that's what I was just gonna say. It sounds like you put that right in that document, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So,
I guess his grandfather was chief, his father was chief, so, and of course, he's been on the department for 40 years, grew up around it.
yeah. He's one of the senior guys in the department.
He is the senior guy in the department. I don't think anybody's done more service than him.
Okay, so how do we move forward with the honorary chief then? Are we still waiting for information back from town council?
Yeah, I'm texting Mike Zarella right now because he asked me about it in text. I told him I was gonna research it. I think I made some calls, but I failed to follow up.
Okay. So there's obviously nothing we can act on tonight if things are being
Yeah.
reviewed on that, but, at least getting the word out about the retirement party,
Yep.
and, hopefully we can reconvene before the 18th and, try to make that honorary chief, thing happen as soon as possible.
Okay.
Okay?
Great.
I'll get that call done tomorrow.
Okay. Anything else?
I got nothing.
Okay. All right.
Good. Move to adjourn meeting.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
What's that?
So
Those look right already.
no, they're 5 minutes fast.
Oh, that was on purpose.
So I had a friend of mine staying with us from Sweden.
Come Steve.
Good night, Michelle.
Good night, Michelle.
Tracy posted her resolution.
Yeah.
Are you adjourning?
Yeah.
Yeah, well done. And, she, we stayed friends with her all these years, you know, and so she just